The battlefield was quiet. Smoke curled in the aftermath, and the dead no longer screamed. Among the bodies, a human soldier staggered, his left arm bleeding heavily, his eyes foggy from the heat and the chaos. His name was Cale, and he was not supposed to be there. The mission had been a scouting run, but things had gone horribly wrong. From the wreckage of broken vehicles and cracked armor emerged a tall figure, her armor gleaming violet, etched with markings older than Earth's civilizations. She was alien, one of the Kyril, a warrior race bound by codes and customs humans barely understood. She was beautiful, lethal in movement, but there was something ancient and noble in her bearing. Her name was Soraka, High Daughter of House Vanner. She drew her blade from the ground, where it had impaled one of her enemies. But as she lifted it, Cale stumbled forward, coughing blood, falling into her by accident. His outstretched hand caught the edge of her ceremonial sword. It bit deep. A single drop of his blood splashed onto the glyphing grave steel. Soraka froze. The blade hummed. Then it glowed. A pulse of pale silver light radiated from the markings. Soraka stared at the blade, then at the human, whose blood still dripped from a wound onto the sacred edge. Her pupils dilated, her voice tight with disbelief. "No!" Cale groaned. "Sorry. Did I ruin your sword or something?" "You don't understand," Soraka said, stepping back. Her voice had lost its usual control. "This blade, this is not just a weapon. It carries an ancient vow, a bond, one only sealed in blood, when spilled willingly or not by fate's hand." Cale blinked. "What?" "The Bloodmar vow," she whispered. "You touch the blade of Vanner with your life's essence. You have invoked the marriage right of my people." Cale stared at her for a moment, dumbfounded. "You're saying I just married you?" Soraka sheathed the sword slowly, her hand trembling. "Yes, and it is binding, forever." They brought Cale back to her war camp, not as a prisoner, but as a bonded one, a term that brought stares, confusion, and a quiet, uneasy respect. The Kyril did not take the Bloodmar lightly. Normally, such a vow would be the result of a formal duel, a mutual agreement, or a ceremonial rite of union. But the ancient laws were clear. Once blood touched the sacred blade, the vow could not be undone. Not even death could break it without consequence. Cale sat in a healing tent, arm wrapped in strange glowing cloth, being examined by a Kyril physician who kept giving him sideways glances. "So," Cale muttered to Soraka, who stood stiffly by the entrance, "what does this mean exactly? I don't have to do some ritual or—" "It means you are my husband," she said flatly. Cale coughed. "Oh, I am of royal lineage, the High Daughter. Our union is more than personal. It is political. It will be noticed and questioned. You don't seem too happy about it." She turned sharply. "Would you be happy if your entire fate changed in the blink of an accident?" "No," Cale admitted, "but it's not like I planned this either." There was silence. Then, to his surprise, her expression softened just a little. "You didn't run," she said quietly. "When the fighting began, I saw you help your fallen. Even when injured, you could have saved yourself. Instead, you spilled blood for others." "I'm a soldier," Cale said. "So am I, but I've seen many abandon honor." Days passed. News spread. Soraka tried to keep her posture regal, but it was clear the sudden bond disturbed her. She had suitors back on Kyril, alliances arranged by her house, expectations from her people. Now she was bound to a human, a man of no title, no lineage, no understanding of her culture. And yet, Cale tried to adapt. He studied their customs, asked questions, even attended a Kyril feast in silence, wearing awkward robes and the ceremonial sigil of House Vanner. He did not complain. He did not try to undo the vow. though many Kyril nobles hinted he should. "You're enduring this well," Soraka said one evening, sitting beside him as the twin moons of the planet rose. "I figure you're just as stuck with me as I am with you," Kale said, sipping strange fruit wine. "Might as well not make it miserable." She looked at him. "You're not what I expected." "Neither are you. I thought alien warlords would be a lot meaner." She smirked faintly. They shared a moment. Something changed, and not magic, not the blade, but something more subtle, an understanding. Weeks turned into months. Soraka's people began to accept Kale. Not fully, but enough to see that he stood beside her not from obligation, but choice. He trained with their warriors, learned their ways, and once even saved a Kyril child from a collapsing cliff, earning the quiet respect of the tribe's elders. When a rogue faction attacked their camp, Kale stood guard at the edge of the command tent, bleeding from a blaster wound, but refusing to retreat until Soraka was safe. "You are reckless," she scolded him after. "And you care," he teased, grinning. She looked away, but she didn't deny it. One night, under the stars, Soraka brought out the blade again, the same one that had sealed their fate. "I had a vision," she said softly, running her fingers along the edge. "Our priestess says the blade glows again when the bond is no longer mistake, but a shared will." Kale raised an eyebrow. That sounded like a poetic way of saying, "You actually love each other." She nodded. "In our words, it is the soul's thread no longer tangled, but woven." "And has it glowed?" She hesitated. Then she slowly unsheathed it. The markings shimmered, faintly at first, then brighter, pale silver again. Kale stared. "So, we are no longer bound by accident," she said, "but by choice." Kale stepped closer. "Are you choosing me?" Her voice lowered, but her eyes shone. "Yes." He took her hand. "Then so am I." They didn't need a wedding or another vow. The stars were witness enough. Months later, the war began to end. Talks of peace spread, and strange as it seemed, the marriage of a human soldier and a Kyril princess became a symbol of alliance. Kale and Soraka stood side by side in front of ambassadors and warlords, blades and banners lowered in respect. And though they had come together by accident, the bond had forged something rare and powerful. Later, someone asked Kale if he believed in fate. He smiled, looked at his wife, warrior, leader, partner. "No," he said, "but I believe in blood and choice. And maybe that's stronger.